Thomas Eric Duncan was pronounced dead at 7:51 a.m. this morning at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas. He is the first confirmed Ebola death in the United States, confirmed. That is the Associated Press, and of course it's been reported that he knew he had Ebola and fled to the United States seeking treatment. And the UN numbers and their different metric computer models show 1.4 to 5+ million that it's believed will end up contracting Ebola. And all the other nations are either sealing their borders or putting in serious restrictions and banning flights. We are not. The United States is now a giant dumpster for the Ebola virus. Just like we're the dumpster for GMO crops and the dumpster for vaccines and the dumpster for everybody to have kids and then they come here and get paid for, and the dumpster for anybody who's sick to come here and get paid for. Unless you're a citizen, black, white, Hispanic, doesn't matter, then you get put on a death panel, or you're a veteran, you don't get any health care, you get put on a secret death panel because they want to incentivize the third world flooding, unskilled, balkanized, Tower of Babel, so we can't communicate with each other. So that's coming up. Michael Savage is going to be on for a full hour via video feed. We're not just radio, we're /TV, Infowars.com/show for the free feed, MichaelSavage.com. I heard about this book a few months ago, and I got to be honest with you. I never put out Obama Deception 2. I've made the film 3 times, and then it's always old, and I never release it. I have this problem for 4 or 5 years. I want to make a film so good, I never release it. This is the subtitle of the Obama Deception 2 that never came out, was basically the Obama Deception, the coming American Civil War. And it's not that I'm ripping off Savage or he's ripping me off. We're both smart. Of course, you have to be smart now to see this. Just have common sense. This country is cruising towards civil war. The collectivists, the progressives, and their controllers are going to push till there's nowhere else to run. We're not looking for a fight. They're just going to push it. Stop the coming civil war. My Savage Truth, Michael Savage, and I just can't put this book down. We just got it a couple days ago, and I think it may be his best ever. He's going to be joining us, coming up for a full hour in the second hour today. In fact, tweet for me that Michael Savage will join us for an hour live with a link to the free video audio feed page, and then put another tweet out, a quote from Alex Jones, that Michael Savage's new book, Stop the Coming Civil War, may be one of the most important books ever written. And the reason I say that is, if we don't stop the staged civil war they're planning, you've heard me like a parrot saying this for about 6-7 years, they're clearly gearing up for it. Homeland Security is designed to win the globalist takeover against the Republic. And they're going to trigger a false civil war to do it. We expose that, and that it's illegitimate, not the people in Homeland Security on average. On average, they're actually good people. I didn't used to say that till I actually did more research and ran into more of them and found out they're really freaked out because they know how real this is. They know the treasonous mission they've been given. They signed on believing they were really going to fight Al-Qaeda or something, not spy on pro-life groups and tea parties and churches and prepare for martial law and gun confiscation. Plus, they're not stupid. They know the Civil War won't be fun for them, I will assure you. And it won't be fun for us either. So the battle lines are drawn, and I don't have any stock in this book. I told Weldon I want him to carry this book when I got it a few days ago. I don't know if we're doing that yet, but it's hitting bookstores very soon. But Michael Savage believes the time is now and America is at the breaking point. Yeah, there's no believes about it. This is prima facie, and anyone who doesn't understand we're on the verge of a design collapse and civil war to fully destroy the Republic is absolutely out of their mind. Michael Savage will be joining us. The latest on Ebola, confirmed Al-Qaeda crossing the border, and more coming up. Most syndicated radio talk show hosts do not have other syndicated radio talk show hosts on. I have anybody on the broadcast that wants to try to save this country and wants to preserve the right of private property, the right to practice your religion, the right to self-defense, the right to be a parent, the right to not be a slave. But I tell you, I agree with about 97% of what Michael Savage talks about and breaks down. And I'm always honored to have him on the show. I've been on his show a few times. He has our reporters on a routine basis. And no one understands what's going on in the world on talk radio other than Infowars.com like Michael Savage does. He'll be joining us for the full second hour coming up. And you know that I've been making Obama Deception 2 for 5 years. And then I just wait, and I've done literally more than 50 interviews, been all over the country, other parts of the world. I could make it in about a month now because I've just got all this bombshell material that all ties together. But I've been so busy with the TV end of things and covering Ebola and deaths in my family and illnesses in the family. That's why I wasn't here yesterday. And just all hell breaking loose, quite frankly, that I never got it out. And then I always have to restart the film. I intend to get with Rob Jacobson and some of the other crew and just take what we've got and just put it out. Because the last working title, I don't want to give out the exact title, was The Obama Deception. The Second American Civil War, basically. Well, what's Savage's new book called? And since I started reading it, I can't put it down. Stop the Coming Civil War. That's why I'm saying it could be one of the most important books of our time. Because if America has a staged civil war, it will change world history forever and could trigger things that make Nazi Germany look like a tea party, a cakewalk. And if you're a sociologist, an anthropologist, a historian, if you have wide-ranging historical understanding, it is a no-brainer what Savage says in this book. In fact, it is a guarantee. You smoke 5 packs of cigarettes a day for 25 years, you're going to get emphysema or lung cancer. You jump off a 1,000-foot cliff without a parachute, and it has a rocky bottom, you're going to die on the bottom. You boil water, it's going to boil. You slit your wrist with a hatchet or a knife, you're going to bleed to death. What he says in this book, and it's not that I'm following Savage or he's following me, even though we do follow each other. It's that it's common sense, folks. But if we don't get this common sense out to people, the globalists are going to stage a civil war to bring this country down. That's their plan. It's the only way they can take over, and it's what all their preparations are for and what they admit they're getting ready for. So we salute Savage for being prolific, and I don't know, he's probably written 50-something books, a bunch of them #1 New York Times bestsellers. He's joining us in the next hour. Very important issue, because while we're worried about Ebola and a lot of other easy, to cover issues that, are obviously something even mainstream media covers, it's the hard issues, as scary as Ebola is, like this, that are complex, real world, and so serious that have to be dealt with. So we're going to break down in the second hour the real plan. And if a plan is exposed before you launch it, if you know about the bank robbers' plan a week before they pull off the job, you don't know when they're going to hit the bank exactly, but you know they're going to hit it the next week, what can you do? You can probably find their hideout before they do it, or you can at least be waiting on them when they show up. Don't say that we didn't have the drop on them or the jump on them, okay? We do if you pay attention. And I'm getting chills right now because this is so epic, it's so historical, it's so real, it's so hardcore. So we salute Savage for trying to put a spotlight on this. We harp on it every day here. And so does Savage. And no one is plagiarizing the other. We're looking at the same thing coming down the road here. And quite frankly, it's not rocket science. He puts it together in a easy-to-read rocket science for dummies fashion. But it's guaranteed. The collectivists, socialists, and their financial backers that want a monopoly are going to pull this off. They're going to go for broke. Fortune favors the bold. They know that. Well, fortune favors the bold on both sides. Our treasure is liberty and freedom and justice and not being slaves and having dignity. We either get involved now, ladies and gentlemen, or we're going to lose everything. That is in the second hour today. Stop the coming civil war. We ought to have a weekly report called that, because just that's what's being geared up for. The entire infrastructure of Homeland Security was started for Al-Qaeda, but then flipped over to the Tea Party, veterans, gun owners, Christians, anti-Gen 21 groups, private property groups. I mean, basically, if you're a good organization that George Washington would like, if you were a moderate to George Washington, even a liberal, because he was a conservative and didn't agree with a lot of what Thomas Jefferson had to say. Those were your true conservative would be George Washington. Liberal would be Thomas Jefferson. I admire both of them. Great thinkers. If you basically are like Thomas Jefferson, the so-called liberals hate your guts the most because they are the antithesis of a liberal. I'll be honest with you, I'm more of a Thomas Jefferson, even though I super admire George Washington. I'm more of a Thomas Jefferson, a classical liberal. And I bet when I ask Savage this, he'll agree. I'll say, you're a classical liberal, aren't you, in the vein of Thomas Jefferson? And I bet money he agrees because I've read his books, I've listened to him, I know what he stands for. Doesn't mean he hadn't made mistakes or, said things he probably shouldn't have. All of us have. But at the end of the day, he doesn't want to see the republic fall, so he's going to be joining us. Now let's get to the really serious news that's currently taking place on the economy, on the wars, on Ebola, obviously, is huge. This was just announced in the last hour. It's on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. First Ebola patient diagnosed in the U.S. has died. AP Dallas. The first Ebola patient diagnosed in the United States died today, this morning, at Dallas Hospital, according to a hospital spokesman. Thomas Eric Duncan was pronounced dead at 7:51 a.m. at Texas Health Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas, where he was admitted September 28th and has been kept in isolation, according to spokesman Wendell Watson. Yeah, shouldn't have been in a regular hospital. Should have been in a level 4 government BioShield weapon lab. That's, by the way, federal law. They just ignore it as part of destroying the law. Duncan carried the deadly virus with him from Liberia, though he showed no signs when he left for the United States. That's been proven to be bull. Love the whitewash here. He arrived in Dallas September 20th and fell sick a few days later. Yeah. His condition was downgraded during the weekend from serious to critical. Others in Dallas are still being monitored as health officials try to contain the virus that has ravaged West Africa with more than 3,400 people reported dead. They also are trying to tap down anxiety among residents frightened of contracting Ebola, though the disease can be spread only through direct contact with the body fluids of an already sick person. Well, that's not guaranteed to be true. Health officials have identified 10 people, including 7 health workers, who had direct contact with Duncan while he was contagious. Another 38 people have also had to come in contact with him. The family is quarantined after days, but another 30-plus people are just being monitored. No, they should be locked up. Remember, I'm Mr. Anti-lock people up, but the only time you can lock people up is when they've been around somebody with something that kills 90+% of people that come in contact with it. You get it 90+% of the time, you're dead. Even with all the modern stuff, they're saying it's 60-70%, upgraded from 50-something% they were saying would die. I mean, this guy died. And it's a horrible death with blood spewing out of every orifice. I'm not going to go into details. You know about it. But it's not pretty. And I'm right down the road from this with all these Dallasites and people just pouring into Austin for the big rock concerts. They've had 2 weeks in a row. Last weekend, this weekend, ACL. Hip-hop, all of it. Huge music festival. And all these international flights coming in. And it's just ridiculous. They say keep your kids home if they're sick with a cold. But then they sent this guy's kids to school at first. I mean, this is ridiculous. And then said parents were wrong to be pulling their kids out of the school. Oh, let me tell you. The way kids spread stuff in the school system, if I lived in Dallas and had my kids in public school and there was one case with somebody's kids going to school, I would take them out of school, period, in the whole school system. They shut down whole cities in Liberia and Sierra Leone and other areas trying to stop the spread of it. Here they go, oh, just fly in. Oh, just come across the border. By the way, you know what else is in the news? U.S. Representative Duncan Hunter said 10 ISIS fighters caught by U.S. Border Patrol. That's coming up. By the way, that means Al-Qaeda. And here's Bloomberg. Kurdish protesters royal Turkey. Yeah, they're burning stuff down as jihadists fight And the Kurds are in the news. Kurds blame Turkey for not stopping ISIS. They go on to say that they're really Al-Qaeda and that Turkey is funding the group that has been slaughtering them. See, the Kurds live over there. They're being murdered by Al-Qaeda, calling itself IS, ISIS, ISIL, to confuse people. And so their response is riot inside Turkey and burn stuff down. And the jihadis are battling them. I mean, the Kurds haven't attacked anybody in hundreds of years. They want to be left alone. They're a minority group of Muslims, and they know what's going on. They don't know who Britney Spears is, I'll bet you money, but they do know who ISIS is. Just like the Pentagon does. Just like the Pentagon's gone to Obama and said, stop it. And the British Ministry of Defense has gone to Cameron and said, stop it. And I'm not even lionizing the military, but when they do the right thing, they do the right thing. Our whole political system, Congressman Jones was on last week, or I guess Monday. And they all know the Saudis are behind 9/11 and our government stood down, and they're saying release it. You see, this stuff's all real. And now Obama has let Al-Qaeda into the country. And when they attack us, Obama will take more of our liberties and grandstand, and no one will point out that they let them in. Geraldo Rivera will call us racist for saying the border shouldn't be wide open and that Ebola could come into the U.S. Of course, it did come in. Someone's died now. Let's go through the Ebola news, then I'll get into the economic news and a lot more in the next segment and open the phones up. Again, if you just joined us, I'm Alex Jones, your host. Infowars.com is the main site. PrisonPlanet.com is the backup. It has a lot of original news on it as well. The subscription Infowars Nightly News site is PrisonPlanet.tv. First Ebola patient diagnosed in the U.S. has died. Thomas Eric Duncan died at 7:51 a.m. from the virus Ebola. Wall Street Journal, Spain struggles to address concern over Ebola case. Just do what our media does and just say it's not bad for you and it's no big deal. Do what the CDC does. Just come out and say that there is absolutely no problem. Meanwhile, she got it from an Ebola patient they brought into the country. Again, bring people into the country and don't put them in a level 4 bioweapons lab. You are a total criminal. Bring them in, you're a criminal. You bring them in and don't put them in a top facility by themselves or with other Ebola patients, you are now culpable. Big time. And I told everybody, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I've had virologists on. The default protocol is don't bring them in the country, keep them on ships or in country where they have it. The default is don't send 3,000 and then 2,000 more, 5,000 U.S. troops into 3 different African countries that are collapsing. Just default, don't do that. Default, don't not scrub the ambulance and the house day one, and default, quarantine the whole family and everybody they came in contact with, and quarantine everybody who flew in on the plane with them. Didn't happen. None of it happened. Because the feds, folks, when TB is drug resistant and they catch somebody flying, they have a database, they arrest them at the airport almost every time. They have a database. They actually do a pretty good job. Let me explain that to you. They want this spreading, period, like I said a month and a half ago, like I said a month ago, a week ago, and Monday. Think about it. Think about it. Let it sink in. I know you know, I know, but that's how evil the people are that have hijacked our government. And hijacked is key. This is not our government. If somebody hijacks a plane and puts on the pilot outfit, which a lot of hijackers do because people start following their orders when they put on the captain's outfit, that's not the captain, folks. You don't open the borders up and say, everything's free, come to America. If you're the president, you're an enemy of the republic, period. That's not rhetoric. Those words don't even begin to get near the severity. I don't have words. Shakespeare wouldn't have words to describe the spirit of destruction, the spirit of anti-freedom, the will to wreck this country, and only let select interest operate in it. So Spain struggles to address concern over Ebola case. Oh, really? European Union asked Spain for more information on how health worker contracted disease. Well, they brought in other health workers out of West Africa that had it, and that's how she got it. And they're now saying she touched her face. Document, Spanish woman touched face with Ebola glove. Let me give you the news flash. It's mutated over 300 times. Used to mutate a couple times a year. Now it's mutating 300 times in the last year. That's CDC's own numbers. And it's clearly incubates from not 3 days, but 21 at least. And it's clearly spreading faster. And most virologists, we said this 2 months ago, almost 2 months ago, from the New York Times 3 weeks ago, that they believe it is somewhat, I'm going to say it again, weak but airborne. Weak but airborne. And they had the discoverer of Ebola come out yesterday and say they believe it's going to go airborne. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen if it goes airborne. If they leave the border open or they let it spread, they're 100% responsible. And I want everybody to know, remember who did it. And let me tell you, what are they planning? They think they can get away with this. What are the people running Homeland Security and the Centers for Disease Control and the National Security Council? That's what really runs the country, the COG, that's over Northcom, the Continuity of Government Board. What are they doing? They're doing this in front of everyone. They're funding Al-Qaeda in front of everyone. They're opening the borders in front of everyone. They're turning the power plants off in front of everyone. They're doing policies that'll destroy the dollar in front of everyone. They're starting wars with Russia for no reason in front of everyone. What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? These people are out of control. So they've shipped more than 25 people into the U.S. that have Ebola, and they've shipped a couple into Spain. It's already spread there. Connecticut Health Commissioner granted quarantine power, AP. Yeah, see, they're going to use this to lock whoever they want once it spreads. Let the crisis get out of control. Coast Guard sector issues new steps on Ebola virus, AP. I guarantee you they did that because it's default. Obama will probably order a stand down. I predict that, a quiet stand down. CDC airborne Ebola, possible but unlikely. We'll be right back. In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. We are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. DNA Force from InfoWars Life.